Hey class, I wanted to make a video to go over loops for you. Loops are fantastic because they allow you to repeat processes multiple times, whether you know how many times you need to do them or not. For is usually for when you know how many times you need to do something, and while is generally for an unlimited number of times until a condition is met. So to explain that, I have kind of gone ahead and done a little bit of programming here, and we'll use this kind of for the instruction. In this case, we've got the syntax for the for loop, which is you have for, which is the keyword. Then you specify a variable name, which will stand for the iterator. And that's just a fun, fancy word for the current number or place that we are inside of the list of items. And so in this case, we're going to go ahead and call range, which will provide us with a list of 10 items, because we specified 10. And that will be 0 through 9. So if I go ahead and run this, you'll notice that it prints out. And so number in this case will be 0. And so until we've gone through every item in the list, we're going to continue doing this same thing over and over and over again until we hit the condition. So we can do this with numbers. And as I'm going to uncomment here, you'll see that we can also do that with strings. And so if I go ahead and run this, you'll notice that I've got this full thing of my space string. And a string itself is nothing more than a list of characters. And so we'll take each individual piece and print it out one at a time, which is really helpful. Again, we can do this with lists as well. So let me go ahead and uncomment these, but comment this line. So we go ahead and create this list right here with a bunch of different names in it. And if we iterate over this list of names, as you'll see just below, we can actually print each one of these. Now I know that each of you are kind of curious as to, okay, well what does this do for us? How is this helpful? Well, I'll show you in a little bit, but before we jump into that, I also want to cover dictionaries and how they can also be used. When we were going over dictionaries previously, we mentioned about the function .items. Go ahead and uncomment this real quick. And the .items will allow us to get both the key and the value from a dictionary so that we can print those things out. So I want to show you what that looks like as well. So you'll see here we're printing the key, comma, the address that they live at, based off of the addresses that I've entered here. So with this, you can see that we get both of those pieces back. You can likewise call .values or .keys, and those will allow you to get each of those individual pieces to iterate over them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and comment these things out, even though we've gone over them, because I want to show you really the power of loops and how they can be really helpful. For instance, if you go back and think about the budget program that we had, one of the things that was really frustrating was having to go over and print these things out multiple times, grab each thing, name each of the variables multiple times. Well, if we go ahead and stick these things inside of a for loop, we can know, for instance, in this case we needed to get 5 items. We can go through here and we can say, okay, well, we need the item, we need the cost, and then we can stick it in the dictionary and then move on. So let me show you what this looks like. If we go ahead and run this code, I've got an issue with line 42. Oh, because I've got this comment uncommented. Go ahead and put that back there. Okay, let's go ahead and try this again. Okay, now we have an issue at line 46. Oh, I need to have some parentheses around this. Otherwise, it will try to perform the mathematics on the string function. So let's go ahead and try this again. And in here, it's going to say, okay, we got the first item. We'll do fruit. We'll say $20. And cheese. And, oh, didn't enter a number. I'll try that again. Fruit, 20, cheese, 30, car, 45, house, 800. And we'll do clothing and 100. Okay, and so you'll notice that we can generate this dictionary dynamically based off of those things using the index insertion operator. And that's where the for loop here is super helpful, because then we can do that. And we can get these things, and we can type as little as possible, which is really nice. But that being said, let's go ahead and show how this is helpful printing it out as well. Let's come here, let's make sure we comment out the function, the comments again. Okay, so what I've done is I've just kind of preemptively made this dictionary of the items as well as the values that they cost, so I don't have to enter them. And then I've went ahead and created this function to print out the general look of the budget that we've gotten used to previously. And I'm going to use a for loop to get both the key, or the item, and the value, or in this case the cost, monthly. And I'm going to print them out. And so I'm going to access the budget items, call.items, so I can get each of the things per row. And then I'm going to use our fancy print formatting. I'm going to take the item and capitalize it, get the monthly value and print that there, and the yearly I will multiply by 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and call this function and pass in this dictionary that I've created. So if we go ahead and run this now, you'll notice that it creates this beautifully formatted budget, and I only had to print out this number and these complicated things once. And then it reuses it every time we go through, which is really nice. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can help clarify, and I will be sure to provide you with that.